Hey, welcome to Outsmart Your Guitar. Glad you could join us. Today is part one on improving your swing technique. Swing is an important technique to understand how to play correctly. Today we're focusing on rhythm, because if you're playing a swing rhythm and you're not doing it right, no matter what you put on top of that, whether instrumental or vocal performance, it's going to be a little off. It's not going to sound right because the rhythm isn't right. So, we're going to show you a couple of techniques and approaches to help you overcome any obstacles you may be experiencing in trying to play the swing feel correctly. All right? So let's just get right to it. And be sure to like and subscribe to Outsmart Your Guitar along the way. All right, we're going to dive in, and we're going to start off, though, with just a little bit of review. So for those of you who are a little further along, review is always something good to do to make sure you fully understand what you are working on. All right? For the rest of you, follow along. We're going to play a G chord, and we're just going to play the 5-chord version. So we're just going to play the 1, the 5, and the 1, thus a 5-chord. So we're playing G, D, and octave G. Now I'm going to mute this just a little bit, just to give it a little bit more solid sound, as opposed to this open, more jangly thing. So you can do that too by palm muting just a little bit. Now, you'll notice we have 4 sets of triplets. That's what the 3/8 notes with the 3 underneath the bar is. And those are triplets, so you're probably already aware of that, but I'm just covering all bases. How you count triplets, as you know, is 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a. So you can kind of practice that. 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a. And you'll notice I'm doing all downstrokes. So you can do that just to get yourself comfortable. And then the next thing you want to do is bring in the metronome. Set it at around 50 beats a minute and start counting without playing to stabilize your mind and get synced up with the metronome. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and then when you're ready to play, just start playing. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and the idea here is you need to lock in with the metronome. Get in sync with it. Learn to work with it. So if you've never used a metronome or you are just not comfortable using a metronome, you need to learn to work with the metronome, because with the swing feel, the metronome is going to be very important to helping you lock in and understand on what part of the beat things are supposed to happen to make the swing feel really happen the way it's supposed to and sound correct. All right? So pause the video and work on this for a couple of minutes. Don't just kind of gloss over. Work on it for a couple of minutes. Get yourself locked in with the metronome and really learn to understand the metronome for the tool it's designed to be to help you be a better player. All right? Then when you're ready to move forward, press play and we'll do just that. Okay, now we're going to start introducing the swing feel in earnest. You'll see each set of triplets, the middle note is now absent, replaced with an 8th note rest. So the and of the 1 and a, 2 and a is silent. So you can sit here and count without playing and whisper the and to help you understand it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and so forth. That helps you understand when you're supposed to play and when you're not. So set it up and play it nice and easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, Now you can go 1 and 2 and, or you can ghost it and or mute with your palm. 1, 2, 3, and so forth. It's up to you how you want to approach that, but the and must be silent. Once you're comfortable with that, bring your metronome back in, 50 beats a minute, slower if you need it, and count before you play. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now, it's going to be a little tricky to get the beat note happening right on the beat. So take your time here, pause the video, and work this out with the metronome to help keep you honest and to help you stabilize and synchronize the count and the metronome so that they are locked in together. This is critical to getting the swing to sound correct. All right? Then, when you're ready, restart the video and we'll keep on going. If you're still struggling with getting the 1, 2, getting the next beat note happening correctly, I've got a little exercise here that will help you nail it down. Basically, what it involves is tripling the speed on your metronome. So I'm at 50. Well, 50 times 3 is 150. If you're at 45, 45 times 3 is 135. The object here is you're playing now, hearing all 3 notes of each triplet. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and right? And so forth. Now, what you do is set this up, count with it before you play. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. That way, you know exactly when you're supposed to play the beat and the note, and then the next beat that follows right on the heels of the part of the beat, helping you further nail that swing feel. All right? So take a couple of minutes and try this exercise if you need it, okay? And even if you don't need it, go ahead and do it anyway, just for the fun of it, and really get the idea even further entrenched in your mind. All right? So I thought I'd just share that little extra tidbit with you. All right, let's take a blues/rock rhythm that you'll find on a lot of songs and apply what you just worked out previously in a real life example. So you're going to play a G, a 5 chord, but you're just going to play these 2 notes, the G and the D, because your little finger is now going to be employed playing the E on the 7th fret of the 5th string, back and forth between the D and the E, and that's what gives it that rock and roll thing, right? The bluesy feel. All right, so basically what I want you to also pay attention to is look at what I'm doing here. I'm not playing with my finger straight across like this. I'm actually reaching back. So I'm moving my hand forward up the neck just a fret, but then I'm reaching back for the G root. And my 3rd finger plays the D, but by reaching back, moving my hand a little forward up the neck, it actually now makes my little finger a little more easily able to access that E at the 7th fret. And for you all with small hands, this is going to help you a whole lot. I have average size hands, so this helps me too. Now, you play this just like you played the previous example. 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a. The only difference is instead of just sitting here like this, you're actually alternating between the D and the E. Right? 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a, 1. All right? Now, bring in your metronome at 50 beats a minute. 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a, 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a, 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a, 1. You'll notice I was pretty much spot on. The first or second note wasn't quite right, but I corrected real quick. And that's the whole point of using the metronome. It helps you know when you're playing too fast or too slow in the cadence of the rhythm. Remember, swing is very demanding that you play on very specific parts of the beat to get the swing feel correct. Failure to do that creates an unpleasant experience for all. Okay? Now, on the right-hand side, you'll notice it's the same thing, just written out a little bit differently. And above that second example, you'll see 2 eighth notes equals a quarter and an eighth note under a 3 bracketing both notes. That's called a metric modulation. And what that's telling you to do is, even though these are written as just normal eighth notes, you play it with a swing feel, i.e., like the diagram on the left. This is to keep the music cleaner and simpler looking, because if it's written out like it is on the left, that can be just really distracting. But if we just clean it up a little bit and use the metric modulation to direct us to play with a swing feel, we know we're supposed to play it like the example on the left. I hope that makes sense. Okay? So, pause the video and play through this. Again, count it out, get it down, get this whole thing working. And then, once you're playing it fairly smooth, bring in the metronome and play with the metronome. Keep yourself honest, getting everything happening where it's supposed to happen. And if you need to triple the speed to make sure everything is happening precisely where it's happening, go ahead and do that as we showed you previously. Then, press play when you're ready to continue. I would be remiss if I didn't bring up another way to play the swing feel for this blues/rock lick. The example on the left is what you've been playing, right? 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a. Now, the example on the right is showing a quarter note and an eighth note under the bracket 3. And you'll notice that's just like the metric modulation designation, where it shows 2 eighth notes equals a quarter and an eighth note under a bracket 3. Now, in literal terms, what that means is, and what the example on the right is showing, you play the beat note and hold it over through the and then play the note. Like this. You play 1 and, holding it through the and then play So it would go like this. 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a. Now you hear that's a lot smoother, right? You have 1 and 2, 3, 4, versus this. Here. And here. Right? You can hear the difference back to back. So, bring in your metronome. Count it out. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 2 and 3 and 4 and so you hear them back to back when you do that. And you hear the character is very different. One is choppy, one is smooth. So depending on how you want a song to sound, you choose one or the other when you're playing this bluesy thing, right? Okay, so pause the video, practice this for a couple of minutes, and really understand the difference between the two and how they're played. All right, then when you're ready to continue, press play. Just to be clear, whether you play the jerky version or the smooth version, it's written the same way, standard eighths, but with the metric modulation written above it showing you swing this, just as is shown here in the diagram. You got the metric modulation sitting up there. It's up to you to choose whether you do the jerky one or the smooth one, whatever the song calls for. All right? We're going to change direction here a little bit, and we're going to move over to the jazzier side of swing, because there's things in jazz that really can help you further understand the swing feel better, particularly if you're talking about jazz standards, particularly out of the late 30s, 40s, and 50s, and a little bit into the 60s, because a lot of that music was swing-based. Now, I'm going to show you a real basic jazz comp rhythm. You got an A minor 7, which I've got fingered here. And you'll see in the notation, there's no notes. There's just 4 slash things, and that represents 4 beats. Now, what you'll do is you'll play the first and the second beat, have a slight rest after the second beat, and then play the third and the fourth beat, and a slight rest, and then back to 1. Let me show you what I'm talking about. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now don't chop 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Play 2 and play 4. 1, 2, slight, 3, 4, slight, 1, 2, slight, 3, 4. That way it's nice and smooth. Bring in your metronome. I've got mine set at 80. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so forth. So play that. Pause the video. Play that for a couple of minutes. Get yourself nice and oriented in learning to play this very basic jazz comp. Now, we're playing it in straight time, and we'll get to the swing feel in just a moment. But first, get comfortable playing this A minor 7 and this basic comp feel. All right? The diagram on your screen is a breakdown of how you take straight 4s and turn it into a swing feel. How you introduce the whole swing feel. This is very effective when you don't have a drummer or other instruments helping identify and reinforce the swing feel. So if you're solo, this is how you can introduce the swing feel. All right? Now you notice we've converted the slashes to quarter note slashes by adding the stem, showing you're still playing just 1, 2, 3, 4. But below that, you'll see we have triplets added in, but triplet rests. The third note of each triplet is not a rest, it is a rake, a slight up stroke. So you have 1 and right? So how you would play this, staying with the A minor 7, is you would go 1 and Now, when you do that, you relax your fingers so that you're getting this, not that. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and Okay? Now, another thing you'll notice is the right hand, 1, is staying down and hesitating, waiting for the 1 and 2 and right? So practice that for a moment and then put it to a metronome. We're going to slow things down to about 60 beats a minute here. Right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and All right? That way you can really get a good sense of what you're trying to do. Hesitating that strum so that you can hit the of the beat. 1 and This helps reinforce that it's a swing feel by that hesitation. So pause the video and go ahead and work this out for a moment. Really get it down. All right? Then, when you're ready to continue, you know what to do. Press play. Now, I want to be very clear here. When we actually play with a swing feel, we don't count in triplet eighths, 1 and a 2 and a. That's a mouthful. We actually count 1 and 2 with a hesitation. Remember I talked about hesitation on the picking hand, right? 1 and So that hesitation. So instead of going 1 and what we're actually going to do is, just as swing music is written with regular eighth notes, but with the metric modulation demonstrating that these eighth notes, while written out as straight eighths, aren't played like straight eighths, they're played as swing eighths with that hesitation. The middle note is taken into account technically, just not written or, counted. So we take the and from the middle note and move it to the position of the triplet and making that now and, because swing music eighths generally are written as straight eighths, and except where triplet eighths are actually being played literally. And so it's 1 and there's a hesitation built in there because of that middle note existence of the triplet feel. I'm trying to explain this as simply as possible. Basically, you're going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. You've got that hesitation, taking into account that it's a triplet feel, even though it's written out as just straight eighth notes, but with the metric modulation telling you play 1 and 2, with a hesitation between the beat note and the and of the beat. You'll notice when I do that, 1 and 2, the and of the beat and the next beat are really close together, whereas the beat and the and of the same beat are far apart. 1 and 2. See how that works? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you give that a shot here with the metronome. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. You don't run out of breath so easily when you just count 1 and 2. And you build that hesitation in, bearing in mind it's a triplet feel. You're just not counting out loud the middle note of the triplet. You're just going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So go ahead, and if you need to review what I was trying to explain here, go ahead, rewind and listen to it again. Then pause, and now try to count 1 and 2 and 3, building in the hesitation between the beat and the and of the beat. All right? Then, once you've done that, press play. All right, let's put this to work now. We've got a couple exercises for you here. In the first exercise, G minor 7, C minor 7, F7, back to G minor 7. All right? I'm at 104 beats a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just 2 times through, kind of give you an idea. And now you'll notice one of the things that I was doing is I was doing what I call zone strumming, playing a little low and then playing high. I'm 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Playing just the root, maybe the flat 7, and then playing the middle 3, maybe catching the high E string. And then the same thing here, catching the 1 and the 5 of the C minor 7, and then the upper strings. And then the same thing on the F7. This gives it a little bit more implied complexity and harmonic variety in how it's being played. So you can give that a shot too, right? And here I'll just demonstrate. Just to kind of show you, this is a variation on how you go about giving it its harmonic character. All right, you're still playing with that swing thing, right? So pause the video and give this a shot. You don't have to play at 104 beats a minute. You can play slower, whatever you're capable of in making smooth chord changes. This isn't about speed. This is about quality of execution, right? So make sure that you play this at a tempo you can really nail it, and make sure you put it to a metronome. The metronome is going to help you stay honest about getting that swing thing happening, all right? When you're ready to continue, you know, press play. All right, there you go. Swing, the rhythm, how to get your rhythm working right. Remember, the metronome is your friend. It is the tool you need to keep you honest about placing your notes where they belong in relation to the beat to properly accomplish achieving the swing feel that is what everybody strives for and that is necessary to make swing tunes actually work as designed. Wow, that was a mouthful, I know. All right, in part 2, we will deal with playing lead guitar parts, solo parts, so that you can actually really understand how to better get your lead guitar parts swinging. And it's going to involve you applying your rhythm chops too, because you're going to have to create rhythm loops to play these solo chops. So you're going to apply what you've learned here in the next lesson as well. So there you go. progressive improvement through application. I love it. All right. Thank you again for letting me be your teacher. I really appreciate you spending time here with me to learn, because that's why I do this, to help you become a better guitar player. Right? Okay. We'll see you next time.